They haven't done anything, so I don't know. I emailed about the in-class part and told the grades, but the take-home part, uh, it's like an alarm going off on my phone. I don't know what. There it is. Okay, so combining the two grades, because they were 50 points each, there were 9 A's, 18. C was 6 and 1 D, and nothing below that. That's not, that's better. So you did really well. Um, at least this class, everybody had their camera on. Um, I don't know. I think it went really smoothly for the in class and the take home. Everyone got it in. So nice job. Thank you. Any questions? I chat up. So today or not today, but this whole week, we're going to cover chapter 3. Uh, there's 3 sections that we cover. So we'll do about a section a day. I think it was in class. So for attendance, this problem was the most missed problem. So I wanted to put it in for attendance to make sure everyone understood it because it's definitely going to pop up again on the final. Um, so I thought we'd go over it. A retired couple has $420,000 to invest. They choose one investment that is safe, which is an annual yield of 6%, and then another one at 10%. How much should they invest in each fund to make 30,000 a year? So the 42,000 is the total invested and the 30,000 is what they're making. And that's what your 2 equations will involve. Now you always want to name your variables. So X would be the amount at the one rate, which is 6%. And Y is the amount at 10%. Then you need to be able to write 2 equations, one that will equal the 420,000 and one that equals the 30,000. A couple has 420,000 to invest. X is the amount they invest at 6% and Y is the amount at 10%. So X plus, I want to write it down here, has to equal the 420,000. The 10% and the 6%, that's what gets you the amount of they make. I was looking for interest, but the amount that they make, that's the interest that they made. And so 6% of X would be 0.06X plus 10% of Y, 0.10Y, has to equal the 30,000. Any questions on that? Now we need to get a variable to drop out. If I multiply this by 10, it'll move my place over 1, so then it'll be a 1 instead of 0.1. So if I multiply it by a negative 10, my y's will cancel. So I'm not going to touch the top. X plus y equals 420,000. I'm going to multiply the bottom row by a negative 10. So I'd have a negative 0.6x minus y equals negative 300,000. Any questions on that part? Adding down, then I get 0.4x equal to, because my y's cancel, 120,000. Dividing by 4/10, I get 300,000. Any questions on that? Well, what's the 300,000? That's X. X is the amount at 6%. So we're going to put 300,000 into the account at 6%. To find Y, plug it into either equation. Of course, I'm going to use the first one because it doesn't have any decimals. And X is 300,000. Subtract the 300,000. Get 120,000 at 10%. That was Y. And is there any questions on that? I mean, a lot of students got it right, but a lot who got everything else right missed this one. Any questions? Well, you want to show all of this work for your attendance for today. The other two deal with what we're covering this week. The sketch the graph means just to do it by hand, not on Desmos on this one. So find the vertex and then just a sketch of the graph. And we'll cover that today, I think. Today or tomorrow, I forget. But any questions on Mondays? Another thing that popped up today on Desmos is homework for a project. You know, the scatter plots that we've been doing where we looked at X and Y data and how they go together. You're going to find data, whether you search the internet and find values that go together or do a survey. It's up to you. But you do have to find 25 pairs of data. Because remember, when we did the scatter plots, we put in an X and put in a Y. So you need a pair of data that goes together. You have to choose 2 pairs of data that are numerical. You don't want yes and no questions. It has to be numerical. Because you can't think about when you're plotting it on a line. You can't go over yes and up 10. It has to be numbers. And you want to compare a scatter plot. You'll explain how you're going to get your data, why you chose it. You can gather by a survey or research on the computer. Also, what type of relationship do you think it'll have? So I've had students do, these are some ideas. One student did, and I like this example because it ended up not very strong. But she did the size of the tattoo and the price. So she did how long it was or how wide it was and the price. And she thought it would be a strong relationship that the bigger the tattoo, the higher the price, which is part of it, but it's also how detailed it is, how many different colors are used. And so it wasn't a very strong relationship, which is fine. I think the R squared was like 7.7. So there was a relationship, just not as strong as she thought it was going to be. And so that's what I want you to explain here. What are your paradata? Um, how are you getting it? She asked 25 people that had tattoos, the size of their tattoo and the price. So that would be how you gathered it. And what type of relationship? She thought it was going to be a strong relationship. The larger the tattoo, the higher the price. But it wasn't as strong as she thought. Weight. Oh, I spelled this wrong. This was supposed to be bullet. Spell check doesn't is not always your friend. But the weight of a bullet and its speed. So one student did that, weighed the bullet and then checked the speed. Another one lived on a cow farm, and she took the age of the cow and how much milk it gave. Now this is one where they just researched on the computer the height of basketball players and the number of baskets they made in a season. The size of the quarterback or the amount of throws a quarterback has made and how many Super Bowls they've been in. I mean, you can find a lot of information. The size of the tornado and its speed is another one you can just look up information. A lot of people do things on sharks. The length of a shark and the number of teeth, or the length of the shark and the weight. So this is just the homework. It's getting you ready for it. You're not doing any of the research. It's just what you're thinking about. And it's due Sunday. Is there any questions on that? I wanted to wait till the test was done so you didn't have to be thinking about other things, just thinking about the test.
Wait, so what's due on Sunday is just the topic?
Just this, a short paragraph.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So you pick your data and then answer these couple questions and just a short paragraph. That way I can make sure it works. Or if I think it won't work, but that way I know you're thinking about it and getting that start on it. Now, sometimes what you think you're going to gather and then you try and gather it, it doesn't work like you thought it would. If you change it, it's fine. You don't have to send me another one of these. But you could email me, this isn't working, I'm trying this. Is that okay? That's fine too. But this is just, you can change your mind if it's too difficult or you don't like the way it's working out. So then the project, this is due Sunday, not the project. The project is worth 50 points and you're going to actually get the data. Enter it in 2 columns. You can use Excel, Desmos, or your calculator. Calculator's a lot more work because you have to go into separate places to find R squared and your line. So you'll graph it. You'll find the trend line and the R or R squared. Either one's fine. You want to make sure the independent variables on the x-axis. By independent, the size of the tattoo is causing the price to go up. The price isn't causing the size of the tattoo to go up. So this would have to go on the X, and this would go on the Y. The weight of the bullet and its speed, the bullet is causing the speed to increase or decrease. So probably the heavier the bullet, the slower the speed. Some cases, though, all of these would have a specific. The age of the cow causes the amount of milk. The height of the basketball player, I don't know how strong a relationship that is, but the height of the basketball player and the number of baskets they make, the taller they are, they probably make more baskets. So that would be your X and your Y. There are cases where it's not specific which one causes which. For instance, how tall you are is strongly related to your arm span, but the arm span doesn't cause the height, and the height doesn't cause the arm span. So in that case, X and Y could go either way. But if one is causing the other, make sure that the one doing the causing is the X-axis. So the tattoo size would be the X. The weight of the bullet, the age of the cow, those would all be X. Any questions on that? So you're going to, just like we did before, put the points in your X and Y's, find the scatter plot, the trend line, and R squared. And then you'll explain them, how you got your data, what you thought the outcome would be, and what you were looking for. The slope and the y-intercept. Make sure when you're explaining the slope and the y-intercept, you're doing it in terms of the problem. Explain the R squared or R, whichever one you want to use. And is there anything you'd do differently? Then you're going to put all of this onto a discussion board. So you could do like certain pictures with yours. It's up to you how you want to set it up. But you're going to set it up like a project. And then it is due on February 27th. That's the main post. That way, then the following week, you respond to, I think I said 3 people. And the responses are due the following week. That way, if someone turns it in at the end of the day on the 27th, you're not rushing to find things to look at and respond to. So it will be uploaded to a discussion board. Just the project, not the homework. Homework's just to make sure you're starting it and that what you're doing is going to work. Any questions on that? Okay. Have fun with it. Do something interesting. Super Bowl's coming up. You can get a lot of data about the Super Bowl. But it's up to you. But only this part is due this week. If you have any questions, you can text me or email me. Any questions? Okay, 3.1. 3.1 is a quadratic function. So everything we were doing so far was linear. X and Y were to the first power. A quadratic function is a polynomial of degree 2. Degree 2 means the largest exponent is a 2. Standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And it's a parabola. So a quadratic function is a parabola. And this is on, as you learn, all of these outlines are on there. When a is greater than 0, your parabola points up. If the leading term, the a, is negative, points down. This says if a is positive, it goes up. If a is negative, it goes down. And this point here is your vertex. To find the vertex, one way of finding it, x is negative b over 2a. And then to find y, you just plug that value back into the equation. Let's try one. So we know it's a parabola because the degree is 2. That's the largest exponent. The leading term, the x squared term, is positive 3. It's positive, so my parabola is going up. So to find the vertex, x is negative b over 2a. This one. A is in front of the squared term, so it's 3. B is the negative 12, and C is the 9. So make sure you take the sign with it. Negative B. Negative times a negative 12 over 2 times A. One way to help you remember this, if you remember the quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's the beginning part. So it comes from your quadratic formula. Negative and negative is a positive 12 over 6 is 2. So the x value of a vertex is 2. The y value, just plug it into the equation. 3 times 2 squared minus 12 times 2 plus 9. Negative 3. Any questions on that? For the y-intercept, you're just plugging 0 in for x. We plugged in 0, this drops out, this drops out. It's your constant. Any questions on that? For the x-intercept, you're letting y be 0. So we're plugging 0 in for this function. 0 equals 3x squared minus 12x plus 9. Now you could use the quadratic formula, but I did notice that all of these are divisible by 3, so I could divide by 3. So then maybe I want to factor it. It'll be easier. So I need two numbers that when I multiply, I get 3, that when I add, I get a negative 4. One and 3. If they're both negative, when I multiply, I still get the positive 3, and when I add, I get the negative 4. So those reviews that we did will come in play in this section. X minus 1, x minus 3. Set them both equal to 0. And get 1 and 3. So we have two x-intercepts. Any questions on that? So to sketch your graph, our vertex is 2, -3. So we go over 2 and down 1, 2, 3. And then our graph is going up because 3 was positive. And the y-intercept was at 9. And the x was at 1 and 3. So you just want to sketch the graph. Any questions on that? The one on the homework, I didn't ask for x and y intercept. So if you wanted to just mark the vertex and then draw it going up, that would be fine. If it doesn't ask for x and y intercept, you don't have to show that. Any questions on that one? So it says find the vertex, the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and graph. First thing, find the vertex. X is -b over 2a. A is a -1. B is 4. And C is 5. Go ahead and find the vertex. Getting 2 for the x value. B is 4, so it's -b, -4, 2 times a, which is -1. -4 divided by -2 is a +2. Then to plug it in, now what you need to be careful of here, you're only squaring the 2. Notice here I put parentheses when I plugged it in. It's a good idea to put parentheses when you plug them in. That way you realize I'm only squaring the 2, then multiplying it by the negative. So this is actually a -4 plus 8 plus 5, which would be 9. -4.
Yeah.
So be careful. Any questions on that part? And this one, the parabola should be going down because the a is negative. Okay, x-intercept and the y-intercept. Y-intercept is easy because x is 0. This drops out, and you're left with 5. Any questions on the y-intercept? x-intercept, we let the function be 0, or the y value. So 0 equals a negative x squared plus 4x plus 5. Now, sometimes factoring, it's hard when the beginning is a negative, but now that it's equal to 0, we could multiply everything by a -1, or factor a -1 out, either way. So it would be x squared minus 4x minus 5. So then we need two numbers. When we multiply, we get a -5. And when we add, we get -4. What two numbers, when we multiply, we get a -5, but when we add, we get -4? Anyone?
-5 and 1.
Mm-hmm. -5 times 1 is a -5, and -5 plus 1 is a -4. So we can use -5 and 1. Set each of them equal to 0. Add the 5. Subtract the 1. So we get 2 x-intercepts at 5 and -1. Any questions on that? Vertex first, 2, 9. So we go over 2 and up. The y-intercept is at 5. And the x-intercepts oh yeah, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and -1. This was our vertex, and it's going down because A was a negative. Any questions on that? So the one for the homework, you only have to draw the find the vertex and then draw it up or down. Because I made it real quick. I don't know if it has integers as the vertex. I mean the exit. So okay. Any questions on that? So when it is in standard form, you can find the vertex by -b over 2a and then plug it back in. Now another case is vertex form. Vertex form is nice because you can see the vertex in the equation. It's y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So when it's in this form, that's called vertex form. And to get the vertex, it's the opposite of the value inside, so opposite of h, and then the same sign as k. So when you pull h out, you change the sign, but k stays the same sign. So if we have f of x equals x plus 2 squared minus 3. We want to find the vertex and then graph it. The a is in front. Notice this a would be 1 then. which means since it's positive, my parabola is going to go up. To find the vertex, it comes from here and here. This inside with the x is the opposite sign, so -2. Outside is the same sign, -3. So my vertex is at -2, -3, and then it's going up. So when I graph it, I'll first go -2, -3, and put my vertex. And then I'll just, it's going up because the A in front, the A is positive. Any questions on that? Let's try another. So go ahead and find the vertex and then graph it. What is the vertex? Anyone?
Four and two.
Because we use the opposite sign here because it's inside with the x. If you remember shifting graphs from previous classes, this goes opposite, right or left opposite of the sign, and this goes the same sign. And that's the same reason, opposite and same. Will this parabola go up or down?
Down.
A is -1, comes from here. Since it's negative, it's going to go down. So we mark our point over 4 and up 2. So over 4 and up 2 is right here. And then it's going to go down. And so if it just says a sketch of the graph and doesn't specify x and y intercept, I'm looking for the vertex and making sure you know if it goes up or down. Any questions on that one? Okay, let's try a story time. Number 5. The profit for an MP3 player can be described by the function p of x equals 40x minus 3,000 minus 0.01x squared. Dollars. So profit is in dollars, where x is the number of MP3 players produced and sold. How many MP3 players need to be produced and sold to maximize the profit? Well, let's think about the graph first. This means it's a parabola. The degree is 2. The leading coefficient is negative. This is your A, because it's with the squared term, remember? B would be the 40 and C is the negative 3,000. So since A is negative, this parabola is going down. Notice then that means the vertex, that's your maximum. The X gives you the number of players, MP3 players, and the Y gives you the profit. Because P of X, that's Y. So by finding the vertex, you're finding A and B. If we look at the first part, how many MP3 players are needed? MP3 players are the X value. And since we want the vertex, X is a negative B over 2A. B is 40, so it's a negative 40 over 2 times A, which is a negative 0.01. So in order to reach a maximum profit, we need to produce and sell 2,000 MP3 players. Because X was the number of MP3 players. Any questions on that? To find the maximum profit, well, this equation is our profit function. Just plug it in. So for part B, we want P of 2,000. Are you getting 37,000? So producing and selling 2,000 MP3 players will give a maximum profit of 37,000. If you plug 2001 in, it's going to be lower. So this is the maximum. Because our parabola, after the vertex, starts going down again. Any questions on that one? The profit for easy cut lawnmowers can be described by P of X equals 840X minus 75.6 minus 4/10 X squared in dollars, where X is the number of mowers produced and sold. To maximize the profit, how many mowers need to be produced and sold? Well, we know it's a parabola because X is squared. That's our degree, the largest exponent. And we know the parabola is going down because the X squared term is negative. So that means the vertex is our max. To find the X value, negative B over 2A. B is with the X term, so it's the 840. Negative 840 because of negative B. Over 2 times negative 0.4. Our A is a negative 0.4. It's with the squared term. So you want to be careful. They're not always in order. $140 divided by 0.8 is 1050. So 1,050 mowers need to be produced and sold to get a maximum profit. Is everyone getting 1,050?
Yes.
To find the maximum profit, plug that back into your profit. $840 times the 1050 minus the 75.6 is 0.4 times 1050 squared. So if you sell 1,050 lawnmowers, you will make a maximum profit of $440,924.40. Any questions on that? Seven. The total revenue for pilot V5 pens is R of X equal to 1,500X minus 0.02X squared dollars. And X is the number of pens sold. On this one then, again, we're maximizing because our squared term is negative, so our parabola is going down. When the parabola is going up, that would be your cost, because you're going to find minimum cost. I'm sure there'll be examples in other parts. So first thing we need to do is find out how many pens need to be sold to maximize the revenue. Well, it's a vertex and it's going down. So we want to find X, which is negative B over 2A. B is with the X term, negative 1,500, over 2 times A is with the squared term, negative 0.02. To maximize your revenue, you need to sell 37,500 pens. Any questions on that? To find the maximum revenue, just plug it into your equation. So if you sell 37,500 pens, you will make in revenue $28,125,000. So this would be your maximum revenue. Of course, you haven't subtracted out your cost yet, but that would be your maximum revenue. Any questions on that?